Commercial satellite imagery, stopping military aid and sharing intelligence, all crucial for Ukraine's military to operate. One Ukrainian officer saying, "We are fighting blindly," and all eyes will be on the scheduled talks in Saudi Arabia next week between U.S. and Ukrainian negotiators, hoping to agree to a peace deal.
ABC's Lama Hassan, a 26-year-old Newark, New Jersey police officer shot and killed while investigating a possible illegal weapons incident in Newark, New Jersey Friday evening. 5 people are in custody. Essex County Prosecutor Theodore Stevens.
One of the suspects is 14 years old. That juvenile has been charged with numerous crimes, including murder, attempted murder, and possession of illegal weapons.
Now, a second officer who was shot is expected to make a full recovery. Police in Toronto searching for 3 suspects after 6 people were shot, 6 others injured in a shooting at a pub Friday evening.
One male was armed with what appears to be an assault rifle. The other 2 males were armed with handguns. And they walked into the bar, they produced their guns, and they opened fire indiscriminately.
Paul McIntyre, superintendent of Toronto Police's organized crime unit, says the motive is still unknown. None of the injuries is said to be life-threatening. The causes of death of Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa, revealed by officials more than 1 week after the couple was mysteriously found dead in their Santa Fe, New Mexico home. The autopsy indicates 95-year-old Hackman died of cardiovascular and Alzheimer's, likely around February 18th, 1 week after his wife died of a rare syndrome. You're listening to ABC News.
When you need to know, Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000. Now, this hour's top local stories with Mark Christopher.
All this before we get started with Aging Options, all about planning your retirement, part of our Saturday edition of our Northwest Lifestyle Weekend here in just a moment. Big news, time change. Don't forget tonight when you go to bed at 2 a.m. Sunday, it becomes 3 a.m. Sunday. One of few where we still change our clocks here every year. And it looks like Hawaii and Arizona still the 2 states that don't do it, along with Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. A lot of places in Europe still change their clocks as well. But again, spring ahead 1 hour. Fans reacting to the Seahawks' stunning move to send Geno Smith to the L.A. Las Vegas Raiders. Shadow's starting quarterback in 3 seasons, still has a year left on his contract. What's it all mean? What directions? What answers are coming? Nico Tamarian at Como TV.
Let's break this down. Geno's 3-year tenure as Seahawks quarterback is over. A record of 28-23 with 1 playoff bid. It does beg the question of what is next for the Hawks. Who's the next quarterback? Is that person a free agent? Or is it somebody they're going to draft in April? Again, so many questions, including this one. Does the money freed up from Geno's deal, now that it's part of the Raiders, $31 million, does that give them enough to re-sign DK Metcalf instead of honoring a trade request? Well, that's another question to be answered in the days to come. But right now, this is a stunner that, again, leaves so many more loose ends that it does answer. So we're diving into so many of these situations.
Yes, and all the answers to those situations, keep it right here, of course. We have finally learned why Green River killer Gary Ridgway was here in King County months ago. Preston Phillips, Como 4.
According to court documents we just obtained, he told detectives he would take them to locations where he left the remains of victims that have yet to be recovered. 76-year-old Ridgway spent 4 days with detectives back in September. He was then taken back to his state prison cell in Walla Walla, where he's serving 49 consecutive life sentences for the murders of 49 women. These new court documents don't specify if evidence in unsolved cases was found when Ridgway was in King County back in September.
The time now 9:04.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
So far, so good, Mark. Things really don't look too bad right now on any of the major roadways around the area. I-5 north and southbound not seeing any problems through downtown Seattle and heading north. Southbound I-5 heading down toward Tacoma, eventually toward Olympia. Everything's looking good there. Speaking of the area between Tacoma and Olympia, I do want to let you know that on northbound I-5 on the Nisqually River Bridge, the right lane is blocked there because of some road work they're doing until about 11 o'clock. And so that's going to squeeze you over to the center and left lanes. It doesn't look like it's going to be there too much longer. They're saying 11. It may not last that long. The road work that's been there all morning in Tacoma, northbound on southbound lanes of I-5 has had the left lane blocked between 84th Street and 512. Looks like on the southbound side that left lane is back open. Northbound the left lane's still blocked, but it doesn't look like that'll take until noon to pick that up. We'll let you know when that opens. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
And Shannon O'Donnell, the Como Weather Center with our weekend forecast. Shannon.
Well, hi there, everybody. It is going to be wet from start to finish for some of us, particularly near the Washington Pacific coastline and closer to the Canadian border in the San Juans and into Skagit and Whatcom counties. That's where a big atmospheric river is going to hang out and get stalled for the next 24 hours. Below that, it'll be dry, especially from Tacoma and Olympia south toward Portland. Lots of cloud cover, but highs in some cases in the low 60s. By Sunday, this rain starts to march and sag to the south. Cooler temperatures behind it will drop into the mid-50s at best on Sunday. In the KOMO 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
Light rain, clouds, and 47 here in Seattle. I'm Mark Christopher, Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000.
The following program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Aging Options, how can we help?
It's time to know your options and master your future. My life, my plan, my way. LifePoint Law presents Aging Options with elder law attorney and life planning coach Rajiv Nagaich. Health, housing, finance, legal, and family. Know your options. Aging Options is not a law firm, but Rajiv is a lawyer. You should not reveal things you wish to keep confidential in this public setting. This program offers general advice. Having your questions answered does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. Contact your attorney or other professional to discuss your unique needs before taking any action related to the subjects discussed in this program. Now, here is nationally recognized retirement planning authority and host of national public television program, Master Your Future, Rajiv Nagaich.
Another amazing show on the way here, everybody, as Mark Christopher takes a mode, a producer here, and watch phones for you here because you're going to have a lot of questions and you're thinking, retirement, I'm too young to think about it. You got a job? You're old enough for retirement. I'll prove that here in Rajiv as well through the hour. Each week, he's got topics to share based on some articles you can read all about following his discussion here at lifepointlaw.com. That's the website. Social Security staff cuts. You heard about it. The Budget Act is falling in D.C. this past week. Social Security Administration finding itself in the crosshairs. What do the cutbacks at Social Security mean for your benefits? Is there a chance your local office might shut down? Rajiv will address this. Also, is it time to unretire? We see this a lot among friends and family. Maybe you need a little extra income, or maybe you're simply not done with productive work for whatever reason. Plenty of people, just like you, have decided to unretire. If you've done that, we'd love to hear from you. I will get you a phone number. And what makes a good estate plan? Is your estate plan complete? Might want to wait on that answer until you hear Rajiv talk about what makes for a good estate plan here this hour. We'll share an article that says your estate plan should accomplish 4 things. And what are they? Stick around. And living with your kids, some are calling it the reverse empty nest. A large percentage of senior adults fully expect one day to move back in with the kids. This can be a great idea, but only if you can handle it the right way. We'll share 10 tips to consider to see if it works or not. Rajiv, I like what you got here. I can see based on your face expressions, you favor a couple of these right off the top. Where would you like to start?
Well, you can start with just about anyone. The first one that we talk about is that Dodge and Social Security Administration significant cuts. I mean, rumors have it that there'll be 50% of Social Security employees will be laid off. Probably not true. I mean, when you take a look at it, they did go down from about a workforce of about 27,000 to about 20,000. That's what the initial target is. But what is that going to mean? I mean, Mark, if you take a look at all the news that comes out, drip, 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 every day, it just points to one direction. Mm-hmm. A lot of unknown that's coming down. We truly, honestly do not know where we're going to end up 2 years from today, 3 years from today. And even without all the changes that we're having in the economy, in the political world right now, wherever we are, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're in, this is going to impact you. Right? It is definitely going to impact you one way or the other, and the fear of the unknown just keeps becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And not to even mention, the single biggest fear is how will life turn out? Even if everything was going exactly the way that it was supposed to, the biggest fear that people have about their retirement is someday when I am no longer in control of my own destiny, I don't know how life will turn out. I suppose if I'll have to go to some sort of a care facility or have to deal with institutional care, I'll just have to go ahead and deal with it. But I hope to God that's going to be, I can stave that off as long as I possibly can. And all these stories that we have today, the Social Security story, the retirement, if it is not stimulating, people are going back to work again. What is estate planning? And here's an article I put in there that, at least we can start doing things about it. And I want to talk about this estate planning article from the perspective of what is this article not even talking about. I think good advice in this article, by the way. But the practical application of this one is where I think it falls short a little bit, and we can cover that. And then we're talking about, the reality that more and more people today, Mark, I don't know whether you've seen this with your friends or not, more and more parents in retirement are now living with their children.
Oh, yes.
Now, it doesn't matter whether the children are living with the parents or the parents are living with the children. So far, the trend has been that the children are moving back into the house, right?
Yeah, my daughter.
Because of the economy and everything.
My daughter said, Dad, no way. You're going to find something. You'll be okay.
Yeah. And so I think, those are the issues that we'll be talking about. But before we go there, let's just give the numbers out. 206-421-1000, 206-421-1000. If you have any questions, I bet you your questions are going to be more important than what we are going to talk about. So don't wait on the sidelines. Yeah. Give us a call, and then we'll talk about it. And all these stories that we talk about, Mark, it really is to tame the future. The thing that I try and do every week on this show is to try and give people hope that with a little bit of planning, with a little bit of foresight, a little bit of education, you can have a much brighter future than the average person in America is going to experience.
Sure.
We know that.
Yep.
And then so today we'll be doing a seminar, the last one in the series for the month, in Bellevue. And if you happen to be in the Bellevue area in the east side, make it a business. Just stop in. Give me an hour and a half of your time, and I'll give you a world of education that I promise you're not going to find anywhere else. What is wrong with our healthcare system? Where are your opportunities to shore up your retirement system so your life is going to be exactly what you want it to be, not what other people are going to make it to be? We'll be doing that also.
Yeah, we always talk about these seminars too, and Rajiv's already ready to go. He's sitting here in a suit and tie, and right after this, he races over to Bellevue. That is free to attend, everybody. You'll love the venue as well. Have a look at LifePointLaw.com. Click on events. It starts at 11:30. Did I mention free? Now, some of you have told me, yeah, but I can't do the seminar. I work on Saturdays, and the weekday nights doesn't work. Schedule a free retirement plan assessment all by yourself. Did I say that's free? It is. Life Planner. To have your current plan evaluated, just book an appointment on this by going to LifePointLaw.com. You'll love this website. I'm telling you, you'll make it a bookmark. You'll make it a favorite. You'll keep track of all the topics that Rajiv is sharing here during the program today. Let's share you the phone number. You got questions, and he'll go off track here of these articles and topics just to help you on your concern or thought. 206-421-1000 works for us here live in the studio. 206-421-1000. Hang around. You're going to learn so much.
The buck doesn't stop here. Hi, this is Brian Calvert, letting you know that you can learn more by going to AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal. Visit AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal.
I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm gone.
Actually, there's someone who gets first shot at your assets when you die, before your kids can even touch them. The tax collector and creditors.
I don't know much about estate and inheritance taxes. I've heard about changes in tax laws, but it's a little complicated, so I just try not to worry about it.
Far too often, the cost of probate and estate taxes forces children to sell off their parents' assets, leaving little for them.
I'd at least like for them to have this house. After all, they grew up here, and we'd like to keep it in the family. They say you can't take it with you. I just didn't realize it was the tax collector who said it.
The elder law attorneys at LifePoint Law understand probate and estate taxes. They know how to protect your assets and your legacy. You can trust LifePoint Law and Rajiv Nagaich. Call 877-ELDER-47. That's 877-ELDER-47.
Aging Options continues, 9:14.
Traffic on the fours. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Mark, now we've got some big-time delays northbound on I-5 coming off of I-90 heading up towards Seneca Street. It looks like this is Convention Center traffic because that left lane is really backed up approaching that off-ramp to Seneca Street. If you stay over to the right, you'll be able to get by. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of real estate right there, and so you are going to run into some slowing on the northbound side of I-5 coming off of I-90 heading up towards Seneca into downtown. This is also affecting westbound traffic on I-90 merging onto northbound I-5 coming through the Mount Baker Baker Tunnel heading toward the I-5 interchange. This is not affecting southbound traffic on I-5 where we were seeing those delays earlier this morning. That looks fine now. In Tacoma, we were looking earlier at that road work in the south side of Tacoma near 512. That has been picked up now, and both directions have all lanes open now from that earlier road work. It is now put to bed. Everything's back open now on both sides of I-5 between 512 and South 84th Street. In the Northwest News Radio and 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
What a good morning. Just to refill the coffee, hang around and learn about retirement planning here. We got clouds here. Most of the rain will be up north and to the coast. We'll get our fair share come tomorrow. Otherwise, a dry day with light showers for Seattle. 44, our current temperature right now here in Seattle. You're listening to Aging Options here at Northwest News Radio. Get compliments all the time, Rajiv, with the program. I play a song and people go, wow, that's just weird. You find these songs that have to do with retirement. You're kind of rolling your eyes going, I don't know this one. If this song is a part of your era, like when you got your first job, went to school, left home or whatever, it means you're old enough to learn about retirement planning. How's that? Okay? This is like if you're in the 30s or late 30s, whatever. You're never too late, never too early, never too young to plan for retirement. That's why the show will work for you as well. LifePointLaw.com is the website. Phone number if you got a question, 206-421-1000. Dodge hit Social Security. We got staff cuts we're hearing, Rajiv. Stimulating, not enough here to be on retirement. We want to unretire, go back to work and make some money. Just some of the articles you're entertaining and looking at for us this week.
No doubt. And, the story that I want to focus really on, let's start with the estate planning story, right? I'm a lawyer. This is right in my wheelhouse. I deal with this each and every single day. And many of you, I think if you're doing if you look at your retirement years, look at what planning you've done, no doubt, most of us have at least thought about doing some legal planning, and many of us have done some legal planning. So this is an article that comes from, it comes from Kiplinger, actually, and they're talking about what do you need to have in a good estate plan. It's written by an attorney who happens probably in the LA area in California. And he basically is making mention of 4 different things. That a good estate plan is going to, first of all, empower somebody to act on your behalf when you can no longer act for your own self. Now, why would that be? Because you have died. Now somebody needs to step up to the plate and distribute your assets, etc. Or number 2, you could become ill. And when you become ill, somebody will need to actually step up and do things for you. The second thing is a good estate plan is one that's going to ensure that your assets are directed to the right people and they are given at the right time. That's number 2 and 3. And the fourth thing that this article is talking about is that you want to make sure that it protects your assets. A good estate plan will take into account different things that you need to protect your assets from, whether it is estate taxes. And it does make mention about, if you have children who are special needs, then there'll be a special needs trust in there. If you have children who are not really smart with money or good with money, then they're probably going to have some sort of a spendthrift trust in there. And he talks about all these types of things that good lawyers are going to be taking a look at, right? Now, what is missing in this one? Here's what's missing in this article. And here's what's missing in the thinking of estate planning traditionally. The word perspective. And Mark, you and I have talked about this a few times now. Think about it this way. If you are preparing an estate plan today and you were to handpick somebody who you want to play the role of your agent, whether that is in a power of attorney, whether that's the role of a trustee under a trust, who do you think that'll be? Well, probably someone much younger than you.
Right. But if you listen to the show, I know I'd go for the older one because I think they understand more a little bit of what's going on in my life. Because we're all different. You've said that.
Between a husband and a wife, you'll probably name your spouse, and then if you don't have a spouse, then you'll name your children.
You go right to the kids.
That's typically the way that it goes, right? Now, imagine this. Let's say your child is a 55-year-old child, and that child is now watching you, and it has been empowered as a power of attorney, and let's say you're about 88 years of age, and you're falling down for the 3rd time this week. What do you think is going to go through that child's mind?
Oh, we can imagine.
Right. My dad's in trouble. I better do something about it. I'm the power of attorney. I have been assigned the responsibility of making sure that my dad's safe. Mm-hmm. Where do you think this child is going to get the information from? From the medical community, from friends, from family members, from neighbors, anyone who's gone through this service. What is the gold standard in America of taking care of old, disabled people when they're not safe at home. Institutional care.
Exactly.
And before you know it, even your most well-meaning, most loving child will start saying, oh, Dad, come on, let's get in the car and let's go for a drive, right? Now, look at it through the 88-year-old you, your perspective. If you fall down for the third time this week, what goes through your mind? Oh, geez, I'm in trouble.
Yep.
Right? But you're not going to say it out loud. You might even admit to yourself that, look, if I agree to move to a care facility, I'll probably be 100% safe. But darn it, I'll be 500% miserable.
Don't know anybody. Don't know the facility, Rajiv. I'm bored. Who's going to come visit? Nobody wants to come visit.
Any number of reasons, Mark. Any number of reasons why we become white-knuckled. And so you will start bargaining with yourself at some point in time that even I am willing to bargain away 10 to 15% of my safety for 100% of my happiness, and therefore I'd want to go ahead and stay at home.
Yeah.
Where in this article or where in your legal documents that you have in place today is your perspective written? And let me make clear to you the importance of this word perspective. The word perspective is so bloody important to understand that if you don't understand that, know that every single law that is written in America that governs the life of older people, whether it is estate planning laws we use to go ahead and create these legal documents, will, trust, powers of attorney, whether it is the adult protective services, the whole statute that governs how they are going to be acting, whether it is guardianship laws, whether it's vulnerable adult laws. I mean, you got laws upon laws upon laws. Now, these laws are written by who? Legislators. What is the average age of the legislator? Oh, between 40 and 60.
Yes.
Right? Who's going to enforce these laws? Judges. What's the average age of the judge on the bench? Oh, between 40 and 60. Who's going to advocate these laws on your behalf? Attorneys. What's the average age of the attorney? 40 to 60. You see the point? Everything that is done in our society is done with a 40 to 60-year-old perspective, even though by the time you're 88, your own perspective will have evolved at that point in time where you will say that I'm willing to trade a little bit of my safety for 100% of my happiness. Where in this article does it say that you need to really work? A good estate plan will be steeped with your perspective. Because the reality in law is when you prepare a power of attorney, you're using something called agency law. What is agency law? That's where the word fiduciary obligation emanates from. When you name somebody as a power of attorney, they are obligated under law, the way it is written right now, to do things that they know you would want to have done and not do anything that you would not want to have done. But where in your power of attorney that basically says, when I fall ill, I love my son, I want to give you the power, go ahead and do whatever the heck you want to do. Whose perspective do you think is going to prevail at that point of time?
Good point.
Get the point.
Yeah.
Give me a call. If you have any questions about your estate planning documents, how do you build these documents? Or just plan to come to the seminar and I'll break it down blow by blow as to what you need to do a little bit differently. But more importantly, give us a call. We can talk about it.
Yeah, questions right now. This is why the show is just such a hit here. 206-421-1000. Rajiv leaves here the show at 10 o'clock. He heads to Bellevue. Courtyard Marriott Bellevue. He'll be there at 11:30 a.m. 90 minutes. It's a free seminar about retirement planning. Yes, you can ask questions. It's free. Bring a friend, a coworker. Maybe just take an early lunch if you got to work on the east side today and go give a listen. You will not be disappointed. LifePointLaw.com is the website. Click on events. You'll see all about it here. Also, so much more information. Lock it in as a bookmark and a favorite. Don't go away. More to come.
Traffic on the fours. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Still some very heavy traffic northbound on I-5 coming off of I-90 heading up towards Seneca Street. A lot of that is exit ramp delays from folks trying to get over to the convention center this morning. You're not seeing any problems southbound on I-5 coming off the Ship Canal Bridge heading down into downtown right now. And once you get through downtown southbound on I-5 heading down toward the airport, everything's in pretty good shape this morning. Not seeing any problems on 405 north and southbound from one end to the other. It's been quiet all morning and it stays that way right now. Mountain passes have looked good all morning. Barron and dry at Stevens, White Pass, and Snoqualmie. Not seeing any snow in the air right now. Might change at any point, but right now it looks pretty good if you're trying to go into the Cascades or over them this morning. And good news on northbound I-5 at the Thurston-Pierce County line. The road work at the Nisqually River Bridge on northbound I-5 has been picked up, and all lanes are back open, moving between Olympia and Tacoma this morning. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Brian Wall.
Now look at our forecast today. Lots of clouds, some light drizzle for Seattle. This should just be a little drizzle, light rain at times today. Most of the rain, as we've been mentioning here, will be out in the straits to the north and off on the coast. It'll be in a whole pattern, and then we'll start seeing more of a rainy day. The more serious of the rainy day here for the weekend will be tomorrow. Temperatures both days, mid to upper 50s. Snow headed for the mountains by later on tomorrow night, Monday, and for Tuesday as well at times here. Current temperature right now, we're at 46 here in Seattle. Yeah, for some of you, the future is here now. Others are thinking, well, it's so far off, I don't need to think about retirement. Yes, yes, yes. To all three I just mentioned there here. Welcome to Aging Options every Saturday. We got Rajiv Nagaich here to help you with planning a retirement. He's got a seminar later today. If you can't make that, think about the fact that you can get a free retirement plan assessment in person. Book an appointment. You can see that here among the main page here at lifepointlaw.com. Seminar later today. You're excited. You're going to the east side. You're going to Bellevue there at the Hotel Marriott there. What do you expect when you get to one of these seminars like today? What do you think people are going to hit you up on? All that's going on in the news or just basics of retirement?
It's not really what's going on in the news. You know, when we come to the seminars, we are narrowly focused on what I need to be doing at this point in time, and rightfully so, because, you know, all this news and everything, all the external things that happen to us, Mark, they're just noise and trouble. I think in the end, make no mistake about it, there's no government who's going to do the planning for you. There's no business that's going to do the planning for you. You have to do what you need to do for yourself. And we all know that to some extent, right? The question is, how do we do it in such a way so that we can responsibly be able to count on our life to be what we want it to be? That's what people come for. Because on the radio, we talk about a lot of these issues. We talked about this word perspective, right? It is not too many places. I just wrote up an article. It got published in the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, and I got dozens of calls from attorneys from around the country. Can you elaborate a little bit? Can you send us samples of the documents that you end up doing? And my answer is, I can't really give you a sample because a sample is very unique to every single individual client that I'm working with. Every single client has a slightly different lifestyle, right? Their money situation is different. Their family situation is different. Their hopes and aspirations are different. So you have to work with each client at a time. So I have prepared a common list of things that I talk about as to how you can make the legal documents read more like manuals of instructions steeped with the perspective of the client. Through the lens of the client, what do we want the agent to be able to do? So these are the types of things that we talk about in the seminar.
Does it take hours?
You come down up there.
Rajiv, I think we all fear like, okay, I'll sit down one of these days when it's rainy and I can spend a few hours. Does it take a few hours to do this, or should we just do it just a little bit at a time here and just keep adding to it and develop it and maybe check in with you at lifepointlaw.com? I think a lot of people are just afraid of the time it's going to take.
Well, I mean, it's like looking at retirement. You didn't start planning your retirement at 23 and said, okay, I'll retire at 24.
Right.
Right? I mean, it took you, 40 years to go and get to the retirement, but you had a good goal and a hope that at some point in time I'll do that. Mm-hmm. You keep chipping away at that one, start saving money, and eventually you get to a point where you think you have enough, and then you finally pull retirement. Same thing with this retirement plan. You need to have a very long-term strategy. And if you have the end goal in mind, then you start with wherever you are, whether you're 30 or 40 or 50 or 70 or 80 or 90. It doesn't matter where you are. You're going to start exactly where you are and then say, what is the shortest line to the outcome that I want? The problem with our planning, another problem that we have in our planning is we only plan with 3 to 5 years at a time.
True.
Right? Because that's all that we can see, that we can visualize. But in the end, the 3 to 5 years means we are on a constant journey of making changes to whatever we have in place. Mm-hmm. Because the next 3 to 5 years are different than the last 3 to 5 years were. And so we never get to the long run. And if you could start with the long run in mind, then you would have a different game. For example, in football, just think about it this way.
Go ahead.
4 quarters.
All right.
If all you had to worry about is how am I going to win this quarter and never worry about that, what will matter is not this quarter. What will matter is, in the end, am I 1 point ahead of my opponent?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to matter. So you start with the end goal, I want to win the game, and then you back into it. You're still going to design every quarter, but you're going to design them a lot better and more effectively, I dare say.
The more you put in, the more you get out. Okay. How about putting in a little effort here? Get to the retirement setup he's got for you today here with a seminar in Bellevue. Again, it starts at 11:30 there. The Hyatt. Go to LifePointLaw.com. Click on events. You'll see it right there. A lot of fun. Bring a friend. Even more fun. If not, you can schedule a free retirement plan assessment here with the folks at LifePoint Law. You can see that there too at LifePointLaw.com. Hang on. We got news to look at here from ABC News headlines. We'll get you some talk local stories. Yes, you can call 206-421-1000 if you got a question about retirement, no matter how close it is or how far away. 421-1000.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Russia with a deadly overnight barrage on Ukraine coming a day after the U.S. pressed pause on sharing intelligence with Ukraine. ABC's Lama Hassan has the latest.
Russian forces pounding Ukraine's regions of Donetsk, Kharkiv, Odessa and Kherson, killing at least 20 people and injuring 55 others, including 5 children. And the death toll is rising.
A police officer in New Jersey's largest city shot and killed in the line of duty Friday while investigating illegal guns. Another officer injured. A 14-year-old is in custody facing murder charges. President Trump threatening to impose steep tariffs on all lumber and dairy from Canada just one day after pausing his trade war with Canada and Mexico, and concerned that older Americans could be denied Social Security payments as Elon Musk's Doge teams begins sifting through $1.6 trillion worth of Social Security payments and records that include your name, date of birth, and how much you earn. This is ABC News.
When you need to know, Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000. Now, this hour's top local stories with Mark Christopher.
Once again, good morning. Family and colleagues of a slain postal worker held an emotional vigil Friday afternoon right outside a facility in Tukwila where he was shot and killed.
He enjoyed and got excited to come to work to this building every single day. So the fact that he lost his life here, they say, makes their grief all the more unbearable.
He was a very good worker, a good protector, and a good brother, and he didn't deserve what happened to him.
A very sad, very harsh reality is suddenly setting in for Edward Paloka's loved ones. Police say he got into a dispute with a co-worker who then shot him several times, all of it in front of the people who welcomed him to work every day. Paloka had recently gotten engaged. His co-workers say he had asked for their advice on how to pop the ring.
And I told him, just do it with your heart, brother, like you always do with everybody on the floor.
Paloka was only 27, a young life, leaving a lasting legacy here at USPS, and also for his family.
Now, as for where things stand in the investigation, the suspect shot themselves a few hours after shooting Paloka. That suspect later died, and so the family says as a result of that, they may never know the true source of that deadly argument that got Paloka killed.
KOMO TV's Ryan Sims there. In about a year, the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier will be leaving the Bremerton shipyards there, and it's a planned decommissioning here. After being in Bremerton for more than 10 years, the Navy's oldest active aircraft carrier will move to Norfolk, Virginia, where it will be decommissioned here. The USS Ronald Reagan, meanwhile, also based at Naval Base Kitsap, Bremerton, scheduled to begin its 17-month docking planned incremental availability, known as DPIA, there at the shipyards in Bremerton this month. Its maintenance and upgrades will keep the Ronald Reagan in Bremerton for at least, I'll say, till about mid-2026 is what we're hearing. 1 man dead, 6 others injured after a crash there on State Route 599 interurban overpass yesterday morning. State Patrol reported 3 other vehicles involved when the vehicle came off the overpass above. Troopers plan to book the driver of the SUV, which came from above. Looks like a felony hit and run. Once he's medically cleared, he'll be charged with. That driver had 2 passengers in the SUV at the time. One of them died. Another person sustained life-threatening injuries. And we heard some of the people in the other vehicles, too, were also injured, but not seriously. Time to change your clocks. When you go to bed tonight, you'll jump ahead 1 hour. 2 a.m. Sunday becomes 3 a.m. Sunday. And still, Hawaii and Arizona do not observe daylight saving time, as well as Guam, American Samoa, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, but quite a few places in Europe still change clocks as well. Check it out on sports for baseball today in spring training. The Mariners have a game with Chicago Cubs. That'll be at 12:05. For hockey action, looks like we've got Seattle at Philadelphia. Drop of the puck already just getting underway right now, in fact, here. And for Major League Soccer, a lot of folks headed to town later on here. 1:45 first kick, L.A. in town, LAFC to take on the Sounders. Now for traffic and weather.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Still some heavy traffic in both directions of I-5 through downtown, especially on the northbound side, where you'll really hit the heavy volume now starting before the West Seattle Bridge. You're moving okay until you get to about I-90, and then you start to hit the brakes from there up to about Seneca Street, and you're still in full lanes from there up to about Mercer Street before you start to let loose a little bit heading up toward the Ship Canal. Southbound lanes of I-5, really not seeing any slowdowns, but it's full lanes for sure. It's going to be tough for you to change lanes anywhere between the Ship Canal and I-90 on the southbound side right now. Most of that is just heavy volume, but you may tap the brakes once or twice on the southbound side as well. 405 north and southbound might be a better shot to get around this if you're trying to get from one side of Seattle to the other this morning. And crossing Lake Washington, I-90 and 520 are both looking good right now with no issues trying to get across the lake in either direction on either bridge as you move across this morning. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Thank you, Brian. A forecast here, some light drizzle, light rain in Seattle right now, but most of the rain is actually up north in the Straits and off the coast here. It's going to go in a hold pattern for today. We will see it move our way and down the I-5 corridor here going south toward Olympia primarily tomorrow. High today of 57. Low tonight will be 45. We'll go for low 50s for tomorrow. Snow level right about where you need it here for new snow headed for the ski areas. It'll be tomorrow, late tomorrow night and into Monday and at times on Tuesday. Light showers here in Seattle now. Current temperature at 45. I'm Mark Christopher, Northwest News Radio 97. Rajiv Nagaich, who's just somebody long ago that decided the richest country in the world. But man, what a question about what they do for people when they get a little older and retire. So he's on a mission to help you with a better plan of retirement. The workshop later today he's got going on. Have a look at the website, lifepointlaw.com. You got a question? We know you do. 206-421-1000. What makes a good estate plan? He's addressing that. Living with your kids, another topic that comes to mind too. And a lot of folks, maybe time to unretire. You're bored being retired, want to go back among people. Maybe look at some extra income here or volunteer. Why not? All the topics we have this hour as well. Rajiv, where would you like to pick it up?
Hey, let's go down to the last article that we got. Is many future retirees expect to end up moving in with their kids. And yeah, I can hear a collective gasp. Oh, that's not me. That's never going to happen to me. And I get it. But then, when you take a look at the reality that as we age, many of us are going to need some help at some point in time. And who do you think is going to be the one who help you with that? It's seldom going to be your lawyer. It's almost never going to be your doctor or your financial planner. It's almost always going to be somebody from your family. And the key to this living, this is a great article, I think. And I've been talking about this option, where this is such an Indian way of looking at life. I've been talking about this option for many, many years. And I have to tell you, there's a good about, 5-6% of my clients actually end up adopting this option. But this option doesn't need to be adopted. This article that talks about is this is going to happen. If you're going to do it, then what are the cautions? How do you go about doing it, enter into this agreement, etc.? And I'm saying, well, anytime that you sit down and sign written agreements with your own children about how you're going to live, that probably is a good sign that you ought not to be doing it. But if you're comfortable living close enough to your children, then there are many, many different ways that you can approach this whole issue. Starting July of this year, the state of Washington is going to now allow the construction of something called an accessory dwelling unit on your property.
Really?
Yeah. And Seattle has been doing it for forever.
Right.
That's why you see all this stuff happening in the Seattle area. But now every county in the state of Washington must allow it. Why? Because it's an ADA violation not to allow it. So somebody in Washington state finally figured out that, rather than fight lawsuits, it's better just to go ahead and codify what the law requires us to go ahead and do anyway. So you're going to be able to do it. And my sense always is that in America, as we are so privacy conscious, and we are so independent living, that maybe living in your own environment is better than living with somebody under the same roof. So if you have the option of maybe looking at together buying a property and having an accessory dwelling unit where you can live in the smaller part, maybe your kids can live in the larger part of it, you can be there to help them as they need help to the extent you want to help them. And they can be there for you when your chips are down, when care needs to come in. They don't need to become your caregivers, but they can be there to see to it that the caregivers show up and don't take advantage of you, don't leave you neglected, and don't steal from you. Those are the key fundamental things. Because if you don't have some system kind of set up ahead of time, why are we so surprised that 70% of Americans fail to live out their lives in their own home? Not an accident, Mark. It's exactly how we go about doing it. Yeah. And this article, many future retirees expect to end up moving in with their children. Is that a financial issue? I don't know. Is that a reality that maybe you're forward thinking and saying that I'm going to depend on my children, I like them, and yes, I can actually live with them? Yeah, then maybe that is the way you need to do it. But you need to at least evaluate whether this is even an option for you at the planning stages. And you shouldn't go into it head first. You shouldn't just sell your house and just move in with somebody and then find out this is a bad disaster. You got to try this thing before you actually do this. If you have any questions how to do that, I can certainly talk to you about it.
I'm just thinking, too, maybe somebody wants to call on this one, too. Have you seen many people, like, again, with baby boomers right now and so many retiring? I think it's like 11,000 a day here in this country. Do you see a lot of them, like, teaming up like we did back in college and out of high school? Like, maybe let's get a roommate or two. Since we're all in the same ballpark, maybe we can kind of watch and help each other out. You seen many of that going on? Rather than moving with the kids as an option?
There's a lot that's going on. I mean, the Golden Girls phenomena, you remember that one. And
the TV show, yeah.
When that came out, when that movie came out, and every now and then I'll see older people, just friends or sisters, brothers, they just live together.
Yeah.
And legally, Mark, here's the thing though. What surprised me many years ago, I was working on some case, and I ran across this statute. It's a federal statute. There's a federal statute that says that, look, we recognize the single biggest financial threat any retiree will face is an uncovered medical illness, but Medicaid can cover that for you as long as you have no more than $2,000 and you have not given away any assets in the last 5 years. There's an exception to that rule.
Okay.
The exception says that if a child has been living with a parent for at least 2 years, and it can be shown that without the child living there, the parent would have ended up in institutional care, then the parent can transfer the house back to the child, and there is no 5-year look back.
Wow. Okay.
So as a policy, as legislative policy, as law, we want to encourage this type of living. So there are many, many hidden little things that you need to explore. And so what is your overall objective? Is your objective to protect assets, to leave it to your children? Maybe this is something you want to consider looking into.
Yeah, good point here. I just tell you, it's like this every week here. No two shows alike. You have questions. Rajiv is here, and he can help you with answers and give you direction on it. 206-421-1000. You want to know more about the seminar he's doing today? He does these every month here. He's got one in Bellevue right after the show beginning at 11:30. He's got seats for you and a friend here. Go to lifepointlaw.com, click on events, and you'll see all about it. Again, that phone number. The show's here for you. You got questions here. No appointment necessary. 206-421-1000. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Brian Calvert thanking you for listening to Aging Options. For more great options to help guide your future, go to AgingOptions.com. That's AgingOptions.com. And select blogs under the free Learning Center tab. AgingOptions.com.
You know, I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm gone.
Actually, there's someone who gets first shot at your assets when you die, before your kids can even touch them. The tax collector and creditors.
I don't know much about estate and inheritance taxes. I've heard about changes in tax laws, but it's a little complicated, so I just try not to worry about it.
Far too often, the cost of probate and estate taxes forces children to sell off their parents' assets, leaving little for them.
I'd at least like for them to have this house. After all, they grew up here, and we'd like to keep it in the family. They say you can't take it with you. I just didn't realize it was the tax collector who said it.
The elder law attorneys at LifePoint Law understand probate and estate taxes. They know how to protect your assets and your legacy. You can trust LifePoint Law and Rajiv Nagaich. Call 877-ELDER-47. That's 877-ELDER-47.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Mark, we're definitely starting to see some slowing now northbound on I-5, beginning before the West Seattle Bridge, heading past I-90 up to about Seneca Street before things start to settle out and you start to move a little bit faster heading north toward the Ship Canal. You're also seeing slowdowns coming off the West Seattle Bridge heading eastbound toward I-5, trying to get onto those northbound lanes of I-5. Starting to hear some rumblings of what may be a crash in the southbound lanes of I-5 right underneath the convention center, in the tunnel underneath the convention center. Of course, there's no cameras in that tunnel, so I can't tell you for sure if something's there or not, but I'm seeing some slowing there, and I'm starting to wonder if something may be going on there. I'm going to keep an eye on that, and I'll let you know what I find coming up in the next report. No major issues crossing Lake Washington on either I-90 or 520. Starting to see some heavy volume, though, southbound on I-5 approaching the Ship Canal. Even before you get into downtown, it's starting to get a little jammed up. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Saturday's forecast, some showers primarily north out in the coast and in the straits here. Some light showers here in the central south. Most of our rain for the weekend planned for tomorrow as it makes its way down the I-5 corridor all the way down to Olympia. Otherwise, a dry day for most of us here, again, from Seattle going south. We will see temperatures about 57, overnight lows in the 40s. Tomorrow, about 53. Snow level, cold enough for ski areas to get some new snow beginning late tomorrow night, and going into Monday. One of the articles that Rajiv Nagaich is looking at this week here on Aging Options to talk about is it time to unretire? Some people like, okay, this is retirement, I'm bored, I got to do something, maybe go back to work, maybe do some things here. Bachman-Turner Overdrive, the song hit right there for them. They're going back to work here. I see they're planning a new tour. They plan to perform in Victoria. No word if it's just because they're bored with retirement, but just proof that people get older, Rajiv. They like to keep busy and just kind of know they're still remembered for some of the skills and talents and things they did when they were busy 24/7, 7 days a week like you and I.
How does that happen? I mean, I just don't know. It was just yesterday that I got on the plane from New Delhi and I said I'm going to America to make my mark in the world and get educated and all that. And here we are, 63 years of age, looking 2 more years into Social Security, Medicare, right?
Gone fast, hasn't it?
For sure.
Yeah, and you talk about it every day, but this has gone fast for you. I know. You're probably looking at yourself.
It is. It just is amazing. I talk about the whole thing, and I say, just at 40 years of age, when I graduated from law school, I was thinking about that. And the purpose that I had such a singular vision about what I wanted to do with my education in law was just to make sure that people, I can keep people out of nursing homes. I mean, that really is what drives me every single day. I saw my father-in-law in the nursing home. And you walk away shaking your head, and here we are, 23 years afterwards. Yeah. I still talk about the whole thing. It doesn't cease to amaze me that in 23 years, in the practical reality, other than the 7,000-8,000 clients that I have had an opportunity to work with and help, the rest of America is just the same blind alley.
Well, we don't get taught anything in school about this, Rajiv, and until you came around and said, I need a producer for this radio show, Mark available. And the thing is, I'm learning every week. And then, when you hang around something like this, everybody, all during the week, people are asking me this and that about retirement. What do you think, this and that? I told Rajiv when I first came in, a lot of people are saying about retirement. They hate to be referred to as elderly, retired citizen, senior citizen. Come on, baby boomers. Maybe we need a contest. Let's create a new fun name about being in retirement, but something that sounds fun where like, oh, you're a universal person? Because you have so much wisdom and excitement. All these baby boomers and retired people, and they have a lot to share. Maybe that's why they want to volunteer, or like you said, time to unretire. They want to go back and share and, pass it along to the younger people because they have so much. And you know who I'm talking about, and you're listening right now. Add to the comment, 206-421-1000.
It is just amazing. And the good news in all of this is that, we have, it's a good thing that we are aging. Nobody wants to admit that we're aging, but it's a good thing we're aging because what's the alternative? It's not a good alternative. So stay healthy. I think the goal in life really is to stay as young as we can, as healthy as we can, as long as we can. But the thing that we don't focus on is the second part that I bring to the table is to say that if I do fall ill, then I certainly don't want to be one of the 70% who fails to live out their life at home and they're forced into institutional care, or that we become a burden to our loved ones, or we start losing a chunk of our hard-earned lifetime savings to uncovered medical and care costs. And today in the seminar, if you happen to be around the Bellevue area, make it your business. Give me an hour and a half, and I'll show you. Just as pure education is what it is. And you'll also have an opportunity. If you want to do something about it, you'll have that opportunity to go ahead and reshape your future in a different way. Your neighbors, your friends, even your relatives. Maybe you've seen a parent end up in a care facility, and that was a traumatic experience for you and certainly your loved one. You don't have to be there. You can do a whole lot better. Come down to the seminar. We can talk about it.
So Courtyard Marriott Bellevue, that's where Rajiv is going to be right after the show, beginning at 11:30. Okay, just find a place to park, bring a friend, a coworker, walk on in. 90 minutes, free to attend. You're going to learn a lot, be able to ask some questions, and just have a lot of fun getting things rolling along. And if you can't do that, and some of you have shared this with me, Rajiv, here, can you do maybe a one-on-one seminar? Yes, it's a free retirement plan assessment is what he calls it, with a life planner to have your current plan evaluated. You can book for that free appointment by going to lifepointlaw.com. So there's all these resources here to help you with retirement and get your game going here and just calm your nerves on everything. And if anything, just evaluate where you are and you're on the right track. These are the people that can do it. lifepointlaw.com. 206-421-1000. Still time for a phone call if you have a question for Rajiv. Rajiv?
You know, as we do this, let me also recognize there are a lot of people who, and I hear from them that, Rajiv, I'm not the seminar guy and I don't necessarily want to come down to a seminar. Can I just call you and come to the office? And I say, yeah, you can actually, and you won't get to basically do the whole thing because in the first meeting that I need to talk to you, there's a lot that goes on. Our meetings are about 2.5 hours long. Mm-hmm. And we don't do any free consultations. And I do that on a design that I just want to talk to people who are serious about doing things. Over 23 years, we have accumulated a lot of information that can guide and shape what your life needs to be. And so when you come, we talk about 2.5 hours. I come to know you a little bit. I kind of talk to you about where your gaps and holes are. So we created a program, and if you go to lifepointlaw.com, there's a program. It's called your retirement plan assessment. And right on the main page, it says, "Will your retirement be a dream or disaster?" You can just do a retirement plan assessment at no cost. You'll get to see one of my associates in the office, and they will actually take a look and guide and tell you what is the difference between the way that we approach estate planning and between the way that you have probably approached estate planning and whatever planning that you have done right now. And then you can kind of decide what you want to do. But nothing better than coming out to the seminar. Mark?
Yeah, I crack up too because before I started helping you with the show and producing it, Rajiv, it's amazing how many people in radio came to me saying, do you know those jobs we had back in the 80s? Remember they said something about, we have retirement plans here and there and everywhere. And Mark, you worked, in the hotel industry and service industry here. Did you know you belonged to a union back then and had some kind of retirement? And I went, yeah, well, why don't you check with them? I checked on those. It's amazing. Oh, yes, Mr. Christopher, we do have some retirement here for you. And I thought, unless you call and check and verify, you'll never know that maybe those are there. It's just, again, retirement, knowledge. If you got a question, still time here. 206-421-1000. Remember the show every Saturday from 9 to 10 here. Aging Options, your host, Rajiv Nagaich, planning your retirement. Hang on, we'll be right back.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Your northbound delays on I-5 start right around Michigan Street and continue on and off past the West Seattle Bridge, past I-90, and don't really let you loose until you get past about Seneca Street. Now, southbound, I didn't find that crash southbound on I-5 that I was sniffing around right underneath the convention center, so I think it may have just been a stall that was pushed out of the roadway. Either way, though, you're still sitting in some pretty hefty ramp delays southbound on I-5 coming off of Mercer Street heading down toward Union Street right now. We've also got some big-time delays southbound on I-5 approaching the Ship Canal Bridge, and the express lanes are running southbound this morning, so if you're going into downtown, take the express lanes. They are running a lot faster than the local lanes are this morning. Crossing Lake Washington, both I-90 and 520 look fine. Either way you go, you should be okay. Those I-90 westbound lanes, though, will slow down on you pretty quickly as you come through the Mount Baker Tunnel approaching I-5. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Checking our forecast, cloudy with some rain showers, most of which will be out on the straits to the north. We will have a dry day otherwise with some light drizzle, and it won't last too long. Temperatures today will be around 57 from Seattle going toward Olympia. Our rainy day will be tomorrow. Snow level low enough that all ski resorts should get some new snow beginning. The guy was right here, just start planning your retirement and you'll have very few Manic Mondays to worry about one day. But until then, you keep your job going and do your part here to set up a plan here. 206-421-1000. Rajiv, you're going to be in Bellevue later today for the free seminar. Again, got a minute or so before we go to a break here. What's the excitement you have, and what's the excitement for those who attend these free seminars about planning retirement that you see?
The excitement that I walk away with, Mark, and this really is what gives me the energy every time that I have to do these seminars, is just walk away with the reality that people who come there, they walk away with honest education that they're not going to get from any other industry, right? About why things go wrong the way they do, at the frequency that they go wrong in America. And hopefully it's a hopeful message that, it's challenging. I mean, not what people want to hear, but at least they walk away with a very clear sense of these are the things that I can end up doing. Whether you do it with me, whether you do it with somebody else, is up to you. But at least you walk away with a very clear sense that this is what I can accomplish if I go to the seminar.
Yeah, and the whole thing, it's not because he has to do these seminars. Rajiv does these because he wants to do them. And you'll see that because we've had people call in with questions and they go, I went to one of these seminars. Absolutely, it blew me away with the things I learned and the things I got to take notes of here and making a contact with somebody who's really making an effort here to simplify the challenge of what do you do once you retire? I got a 401k, okay? I got a house. I own it. I got a place to stay. I'm not going to get sick. You listen to this show long enough, you'll learn that things can happen. Rajiv, you've got about 30 seconds before you get in gear and head to Bellevue to set up for the free seminar there. The Courtyard Marriott Bellevue here starts at 11:30, everybody. Final comment for the show for this week for us to kind of carry you through the week.
As always on every radio show, age on, everyone. We'll see you next week. Same time to talk about retirement again.
Again, the website, lifepointlaw.com. Everything discussed here and even more so found at lifepointlaw.com.
The preceding program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Hi, this is Brian Calvert letting you know the best way to learn about aging options is